Hey, what's up, Unbroken Nation? Ladies, if you're listening to this right now, I want you to know I am super grateful for you and I am appreciative of you and I love you dearly. I promise you I do. This one, however, isn't necessarily for you. And the reason is because I am putting out a call to action for my men. Guys, we have got to step our damn game up. Realistically, I understand where we're at as a man in Western society and specifically in America. I understand exactly what it's like to see something that says men, blah, 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 something emotional, and to totally tune it out and to go, I don't need that. What benefit is that going to bring me? Why should I? That, however, is a huge part of the problem that we are facing right now in society. As men, we are not showing up emotionally, and it is impacting not only who we are as people, but our relationships, our careers, our partnerships, everything. The fact that we are emotionally robotic is actually doing more harm than good in our lives. And so, as a man who at one point had not cried for 15 years, who was an emotional recluse, who was a robot, who has shut down, who had put myself in a position to never step up to the plate in an emotional game, I'm now giving you some tools. And I want you to listen to this, not as judgment, my friends, but instead as a guide, as something that you can just think about that can create the context for what comes next in your life. And ladies, make your man listen to this, especially if you have a man who just refuses to have a conversation with you. Gentlemen, I want to be super clear. The reality is that we grew up in a state of environment that said it is not okay to be emotional. This is the same mentality that our fathers had and their grandfathers and them before them. And we are not allowed to not only be emotional, but don't dare cry. And if you do cry, you got about 3 seconds to turn it off because we don't want anyone to see us. The shame and embarrassment is too much. And if you get hurt, you don't go to the doctor, you don't go to the hospital, you put some duct tape on it, you rub a little dirt on it, you're going to be okay. The reality is you're not going to be okay. And you're probably not right now because you've put yourself in this position where you're set up for failure because you haven't yet acknowledged the fact that it's okay to be a human being. And because of that, now you're faced with a dilemma. When you step into life and you're put into positions where you have the ability to show up not only for yourself, but the people around you, you're falling short. You're not showing up and it's impacting you. And you've probably had these moments of wondering, like, what is it that I have to do as a man to show up for my partner, for my relationship, in my own personal life, and emotional capacity that can actually create a foundational change? First, you have to look at it from an intrinsic standpoint. And that means you have to understand why, at the baseline, have you been in a position that you cannot be an emotional being? Well, maybe because your dad said you can't cry, or your football coach said toughen up, or your teacher said that's not what men do. And the reality is those things are embedded in us in our youth, carry over way into our life, into our teens, into our adulthood, and well until the day that we die. And that's truth. And you come by that honestly. And that truth is that it's not okay. This is the parameter that's set around this concept. It's not okay to cry. It's not okay to hug. It's not okay to be an emotional being. And it's not okay for you to put yourself in a position to be vulnerable with other human beings because it is so fucking scary, right? When you think about what it's like to possibly hug your best friend, what's the first thought that comes to mind? Is it terror or is it excitement? I don't know about you, but for the majority of my life, it was terrifying, the idea that I might interact with another man in a non-sexual way for more than 2 seconds that wasn't a high five. And you come by that honestly too, because it's a part of who you are. And when you're in partnerships and relationships and your partner wants to sit down and have an emotional conversation, we often go to, oh my God, you're so emotional. Why are you always like this? And what is it that they always ask? They always say, can't you just talk to me? No, of course you can't. Why would you talk to them? I'll tell you why. I'll give you both sides. Why won't you? Because we've always been told that it's not okay to be emotional, that we have to bottle in those feelings and these emotions that we carry with us, because God forbid that they escape for 1 second and show our vulnerability and humanity out to the public, because we'll be scared of judgment.